Right, hello, and welcome to Poker for Muppets. It's me again. It's Pluto Man, as always, and this is a limit triple draw tournament. I don't know if big bet triple draw tournaments exist. They might exist somewhere, but anyway, this is just triple draw limit betting as it normally is, and so it is a high variance game. This, as I've sort of I said before, you're going to be playing quite a lot of hands. All the hands are going to go to the last draw. If you miss, it gets kind of expensive, more so than Badugi, which is pretty high variance in itself. But there are one or two little facets of that game that make it a little bit easier to stay out of trouble. This game, not so much. So, very first hand, of course, I've got 8-6-3 and in the big blind. So, and it folds around to this guy on the small blind, I remember. Already four-handed, this guy's even sitting out. So I just decide to check, and I think that's probably a mistake. I probably should raise here. 8-6-3 is a genuine, okay sort of draw. Um, and yeah, you can't make a straight with 8-6-3. The question is, how far down the line do I go? What about 8-7-4? It's 8-5-4, 8-6-4, 8-7-4. All these sort of hands that could make straights, not as good as this. Do I raise them too? I just don't know. Um, maybe he doesn't. Maybe he doesn't care what you do. So he draws four, and then slightly surprisingly, he just bets into me on the first draw here. I decide to raise. I don't know. And now there's somebody who's said something very very nice to me, like your videos, Pluto Man. Well, that is nice. Somebody somebody's appreciating what I'm doing here. Anyway, we go 1-1, and I check it back. I don't know whether the way I played either of those streets was great. Now he decides to just check, and the pot's not very big, and I just fold when I miss again on the river. Okay, so I felt I probably should have got some raised it up pre-draw there. 8-2-2. What was I going to write? I was going to write something, then I deleted it. I decided to call here. Mainly, I've got getting a lot of odds, quite good odds. There's a blocker as well, hoping they might get more people to play games like this. Probably I say right. So anyway, 3-1-3, and he doesn't. Does he bet? No, he doesn't bet, and that's insane. So Jumeirah, if you're watching this video, you need to bet there. You need to raise before the draw too, 100% of the time. So I go, and because he hasn't been betting, I decide to just fire straight out here. When I go and hit a fantastic number five, and he calls me, yeah, okay, and I bet, and he folds. Okay, so I hit very well there. This time I will raise. I will re-raise. If Doina, who's Romanian by the way, raises, I will re-raise here. 8-7-4-3 is not absolutely amazing, but I think you have to re-raise this in position. It's a nice position to be in. I just raise myself, and now I've got a bit of heads up. I've got a full house. I have a boat, and I'm placing a bit of heads up triple draw, which is not quite what I signed up for. Just fold that. Next hand. He raises. I've got absolutely nothing. I fold again. It's fine. Next hand. Still nobody else has drawn the table yet. This time I've got the 7 and the 2. Open that up. Folds. Okay, take it down. Next one. 7-4-2. I raise this time, right? I think I kind of have to. I've got a very, very good draw. Um, hit the 10-7. He's drawing 3. I'm going to bet. I'm going to draw because I think it'd be a real waste of a hand like 7-6-4-2 to go and bet. But I come hit a blocker, but I basically miss. 1-2, have to bet this again. I'm a card ahead. 1-2 spot, you've always got to bet there. And this time I actually bet on the river too. I think you need to do that with a good 10 like this. And he calls me. I don't know what he called me with. Do I get to see? This time I raise it up again on the button with a good hand. Call the re-raise. 2-2. So it's interesting. He's re-raising and drawing two. It's not a play I tend to make. I don't really like making it. It just increases variance more than anything else. Also, Um, Now this time I miss again. I completely miss. So I decide to fold here. You know, and I raise here. I don't have the best one card draw in the world, but with the one card draw you have to raise this. How do we go? 1-3. Have to bet this again. Jack. If I had a 10, maybe I'd hang on to it here. Actually, 9 definitely. Obviously, he raises me. Damn. So this is a funny one. So he goes because he drew 3. I think there's a reasonable chance here that he's actually patting a worse hand. Reasonable. If I had to bet either way at 50-50 at even odds, I would guess he had a better hand, but I don't need even odds here. Um, and because my draw is so bad, I decide to actually call and pat here. And he pats behind. I'm going to call a bet from him again. And he actually has a straight, which is not what I expected to see. That was not what I expected to see there at all. I mean, I guess if I was an expert player, I could raise something like that up on the button 7-5, but I don't decide to. Don't have blockers or anything. So I'll make a note of that. Interesting there that he decided to turn that straight into a bluff. Make a little give send out a little smiley face there. Now there's a dozen of us in the tournament. It must be on. I guess it's kind of odd because looks like we're on 3 tables anyway. 8-4-3-2, big draw. And now I hit my absolute gin card, make number 5, and he draws 3. So this is on a very very nice wicket here. And he calls, and I'm running reasonably well here in the early stage of the tournament, I must say. And so now 1-3. Now we go. Oh, let me see. He's deciding what to do. 0-2. So I bet the turn as well. What does he do here? If he raises me, I'll re-raise him, I think, with this hand for some reason. So anyway, he just folded there. 6-3-2. Of course, I'm skipping a lot of hands here. We've actually been going for about, so it's, I think, 153, so 17 minutes now. I decide to not keep the 10 because I think that would be too bad. 2-1. Hit another 5, unfortunately. And this guy, number 703, looks like a decent player to me. And 2-1. And now he pats, and I miss, and he checks, and I just check back. He's got 10-8. If I bet there, who knows? He might have folded there. Now, it's a funny one. 6-5 is not even a good 3-card draw. It's a ropey 3-card draw, but I go and hit that, right? So I can make number 2 and number 7-6-5, number 3 and number 4 with this hand. So I just come out and bet. When I don't apply that rule about being a card ahead when it goes something like 3-2-3. I don't expect the 3-card guy to always bet here, as I don't think he should. It's too easy to catch up. So anyway, I miss here, unfortunately. See what he does. I don't hit well enough to bluff catch, I don't feel, considering it's also in a multi-way pot. So I just fold here on the river. Quite a big pot actually. Now 8-6-5-2. It's a pretty decent 1-card draw, and we go. So I re-raise this. I feel you have to do that with a 1-card draw. You must always re-raise your 1-card draws. I think so. Here I go. I hit number 8. Obviously hit very well there. Had a draw to make number 7 and number 8. It's number 8, and I will bet this regardless because I'm a card ahead. So even if I've missed here, I'm betting all the time there. You don't want to send out a message. Oh, I'm pat. Oh, I'm not pat. Oh, I did not expect Doina to be pat in any way, shape, or form there. He should really be raising my bets there, right? I would say raising. So he just folds. That's a very, very weak play, I think. And now, if he bets, I'm just going to call this. Expect to lose all the time if he bets, but he just folds. And I have over 4,000 now, so I've made a good start. 4th place out of 12. And we've already been going for over half an hour now, so I'm skipping through a lot of hands. 7-6 with a 7 blocker. I'm getting quite a lot of free looks here in the big blind, which I don't feel I should be getting. So 3, and now I hit really, really well. 3-3. Obviously 8-7-6-4-2 is not the world's best hand. I think it's like number 15, but I'm pretty happy. I'm not going to fold to raise here. If you raise, the question is whether I re-raise or um, whether I just call. But anyway, so I've drawn 3. So 2-0-1 now. If you raise, I'm not going to fold. Um, he folds. So that's really weird, isn't it? So what's Doina got that he would fold there? I'm just going to fold this 8-7-6. So training is a factor in this tournament, as you'll see in a little while. 8-6-3, have to raise this on the button. Can't make a straight with it. I just get the fold. Okay. Second place now. Very, very early stages. Raise this one, obviously. If it looks like I'm raising everything, it's because I'm skipping through a lot of hands. I've just selected bits of the tournament. Nobu, I think, is from Japan. So on the cutoff, he goes and re-raises. It gets capped. You've got plenty of odds here to call with. I expect at least one of these players to be drawing one card. Probably Nobu. 1-1, 2. Oh, so they're all drawing one apart from me, and I go and hit that fantastic hand, but it's very vulnerable here, multi-way. So it's number 7. I'm going to I'm going to check raise here. That's what I go for. I do not. When it's 1-1, 2-1, it's a kind of weird one. You don't expect. It's very rare that you're going to get 3 people all drawing one. And this Noble guy, one of these 3 guys at the very least should bet. So when these 2 don't bet, and Nobu is kind of needs to bet there. It doesn't necessarily mean he will because there are some bad players here, but he does bet, and I go and raise. I'm not going to be folding this unless I get really, really heavy action, which I might do. I could let this go. So like if he re-raises now and it gets capped, maybe I'll call, and then if it gets bet, and then I'll check, and then bet, and then a check raise or something on the turn. Then in that case, I'm done with this hand, even though I've got number 7. So there is a time and a place to fold hands like this. I struggle a little bit when I probably sometimes fold a little bit too late with hands like this, I reckon. But I'm not that experienced, especially latterly with this game. Uh, so anyway, so there's a very good chance someone's going to outdraw me. There are 2 draws. So he just pats there, which is not what I expected to see. Well, I don't know about that. A lot of people in that spot will not bet unless they're pat. So, which is wrong. He needs to come out and bet there on the flop, regardless of whether he's pat, honestly. But he is pat. So I feel, if he raises me, well, I'm not going away, but he's just, he knows I drew 2, so my range might be a little bit weaker. So he's just cooling down here by the looks of things. Not folding to a raise here, but maybe I should. Anyway, 1-0-0 on the river. Training. What does he do if he bets? I'm just calling. I have to bet here just for value, recognizing that I might not have the best hand all the time, but luckily I did have the best hand in that spot. That's a big pot. So number 7, you're kind of hanging on a bit, even though you've got a really strong hand. 4-way there, you're hanging on a little bit. So that was a big pot there, and I've taken the lead in the tournament all of a sudden. And what did he have? I must see what he had here. Surely I get to see what he had. Come on. It can be difficult, can't it, to actually see? Used to be really easy to see. He's got number 13. So I was actually ahead by a little way. 87543 is number 13. I've got the top sort of 20 odd in my head now, I think. Anyway, so to make a good start to this tournament, but it's very, very early days still, and it can all just run away from you. This game, it seems to be able to run away from you like more than in any other game. You know, make the nuts. Now, this is where I don't like what I did here. So anyway, we're on the turn here. I bet naturally. He raises me, and I re-raise here again naturally. I've had the nuts, and uh, I decide that, well, 90% of the time I'm going to bet. I decide to just do something different. I decide to go, in the end, you see finger, my mouse rather, is hovering over the bet button. And for some reason, I decide to go for a check raise here. And I whiff the check raise. I don't think it's terrible. Obviously, he just didn't bet. But he didn't fall into my trap there. Um, And here I've got a big draw here. Got 5-3-2. I can't remember what he had then. I think he had something like 8-6. I think he had number 6. That's right. He had number 6, 8-6-4-3-2. That's what he had there. He didn't bet it. Thought I might have got him to bet that. He might have been thinking I was going for that 3 bet to get him to break or something. But no. So we're there. Probably should just come out and bet there in a tournament like this rather than do anything, try anything fancy. So see, I've got the 5-3-2 with 2 twos. So it means that there's only 1 2 left for him to catch if he needs one, because he could have the one remaining 2 already. But anyway, we go 2-2 here. I miss. I don't bet this. I mean, 9. I don't think it's worth keeping the 9 here. This time, though, it's a little bit different. I bet, and I'm probably going to pat this because I have a kind of a gut shot. I don't have so many outs. If my draw was smooth underneath, well, it is smooth. That's not really the word. But if I had a Jack 7, 5-3-2 or something, then or maybe even Jack 8, 4-3-2. I think this is close. I don't. I think actually drawing here is okay as well. And he folds. So obviously, I needed to bet there, obviously. So here we go. Next one, we're going for just over 40 minutes now. 8-4-2 on the button, clear raise, 3-2. I'm going to be betting this and drawing 1 here. There's a time and a place for drawing 2 to a hand like this. Like if it goes multi-way before the draw, you've got 3 draws to come. You might a lot of the time you might actually want to draw 2 here, but in a situation like this, your head's up, you're in position. He drew 3, you've got to keep the 8 here. Gotta. Right, we go 1-1. I miss, and I just take my equity here. And we go 1-1 on the last draw. And I bet the river as I have to just for pure value, and I win, right? So that's good. So I'm up to 8,600. I actually have quite a good lead. I have a clear lead in this tournament now. But I have played these before, not very often, but I've had these, got into these 5-figure stacks, and it's all just whittled away. So I'm very conscious of that still, that could happen. So I'm trying to, not, what did he call me with? 10-9, oh gosh. So it's interesting, he drew 1 to the 9-5, which I think is perfectly fine. So it's not necessary there. I think he played that fine. Called my bet there, which I think he could have bet there himself directly. That would have been okay too. Let's see how this one goes. I just so he was down to 900 there, and so he was in a sort of a fairly perilous position there, training her, and he's sort of clawing his. Well, he managed to win that pot to sort of keep him in the tournament really. Still only got about half what he started with. Now I've got 6-4-2. Raise, I just call. I need to re-raise this. We go 2-2, the first draw. I just call this as well. We go, and I call this, and now I've got the 5-4-3-2. And what happens here? Wow. And do I raise here? I feel I need to raise here, actually. I think I make a mistake. I think this is maybe my second mistake of the tournament. I've probably made others too, but I feel this is second or third. Um, so I think I should raise here, honestly. I think his range is probably going to be like good 8-7s and better. I think I need to raise him when I hit this card. Anyway, I decide for whatever reason just to call. I don't think it's an enormous mistake, but I think it needs to be erased. This anyway. I just call. He's got number 10. Yeah. Given that we were sort of heads up and everything. Um, yeah. Hang on if I, so how did he go from two directly to Pat? Yeah, he did. That's the other thing, right? He also went from two to Pat, which means that his range should be weaker there, right? And he should recognize that I saw him go from two to Pat, so I should be so he should have a wider range there. So that's why that needs to be erased. That absolutely needs to be erased. Anyway, a little bit too far. Okay, a little bit hard because I've got 30 seconds forward on this and 10 seconds back. You can see me stuff up there basically by only calling. Yeah, I made a mistake there. Up to, into the 9,000s. But it should be a little bit higher, I think, if I hadn't made that mistake. So here we go. 8763 is not amazing, but on the button you absolutely must raise this up. We go 1-1, and I hit my best card, number 14, 87632. We go 1-0. I'm going to bet this on the river as well, actually. See, so heads up, and I have sort of incentive to pat quite rough here, I feel. Do I bet this on the river? I don't. I check back. So I think just from what I'm seeing here, I'm a little bit too. I'm not betting enough on the river. I'm not getting enough bets in on the river. I think this is a mistake. I mean, he would have folded there. I'm almost certain, but and I had the benefit that I got to see what he had. He had a pretty ropey draw, but still, it's always better to actually bet and get some money in with a hand like that. There are times when you want to check a hand like that, but I don't think that's the moment for it. So 4-3-2, completely miss. I check it back. Second draw. He doesn't bet. That's a little bit bad. I think that's a pretty bad just non-bet there. And now maybe I should fold because the odds aren't great. I don't have a clean draw. I've got. I'm really just trying to hit a 7 or an 8. So I've kind of got 8 outs. He's probably got at least one of them in his hand. So most certainly has. So I might have 6 or 7 outs here. I'm not getting great odds. In fact, he didn't bet, um, the flop there. But I call. I don't even think about it really. I hit 2-5. So actually, I wonder whether I should have. Um, but but then he's got 10-8, right? So in the end, I did have the odds to see that draw. So he patted very 10-8-7-3-2. Patted really very light there, didn't he? I mean, 8-7-3-2 is probably something I'd want to draw to there. Don't think I'd have patted that. So it's interesting, is it, the way people play? Not everybody's the same. 9-8-7-3-2, I'd pat that, right? So I don't know if I'm kind of on target with what I'm doing there. So he raises, I call clearly 6-3-2 with a 3 blocker, and I bet because I've gone and hit a 1 card draw here. 2-1, second draw, hit number 2, which is very, very nice. And it's a funny thing the way this plays out. You get a lot of heads up pots here, and it almost has this hypnotic feel about it. A lot of plays are automatic. He checks, I bet. He checks, I check. He bets, I call, etc., etc., etc. It has this, as I said, this almost metronomic, hypnotic feel about it, which, say, Badugi doesn't have. Stud, another limit game like this, certainly doesn't have, because in Stud, the action can change from street to street. Whose action it is when the up cards can change who goes first, who goes second, what position you're in. Whereas here it doesn't do that. So you find it has that kind of quality to it. So check, and I have to bet. What does he do? He folds, he missed, and a little while later, did briefly get into five figures there. 762 on the button. This training here again. There's a really small stack here. Number 703. I notice I put them both as green. I feel they're both decent players. These guys, and I get 3-bet, and we go heads up again. So, and he loves to re-raise his 2-card draws and bets, and I just call, and we go 1-1, and he bets again, and I just call. This time he's pat, and I miss, and I got 2-2s. I actually do consider calling. It feels like he might be, just the way he's playing this, that he might be just patting something. Didn't he have a straight before? Was it this guy or was it somebody else? Anyway, I feel I don't quite hit well enough uh, to try and bluff catch here. So I'll let him have that. I've got 8-4-3 here. Decide to call. Maybe this is a little bit loose. I don't know though. Decide to make the call here. I think it's okay. And notice how my stack is starting to dwindle ever so slightly here. And no bets going on the flop. I'm okay with that. And I decide to bet. Do I decide to bet? Oh, I needed to bet here, I feel. I needed to bet here. And I call, and I probably needed to bet. It's very difficult, this one, because my draw's not very strong. I don't know. And I miss, right? So I'm doing a bit of missing now after running really well at the beginning of the hand. 8-5-2 on the big on the button, sorry. And heads up again. See this metronomic feel about it. It's almost like tennis or something, or ping pong. So he doesn't bet, which is I think is not a good play at all. And I have to bet this. And he calls. And obviously I'm going to be betting this too. Number 8. It's more than good enough to bet, unless he bets himself, in which case I'll probably just call. And I take that down. It was a very weak play by him there. 8-6-2, make sure I don't keep the flush. And he calls, and I decide to raise here. I don't want to, but this is where it gets a little bit difficult. So I raise 8-6-2. I'm probably not ahead of his range here at all. You know, I'm probably like flipping with whatever he happens to have. And now he draws 1, which is atrocious, utterly atrocious. And this is something I'm struggling with now for the rest of the tournament, as you will see. Draws 1, I draw 2. And he checks. And I check back, because although I've improved to a 1-card draw, he's on a 1-card draw. So there's no point in betting this. Draws 1 again. This time he bets, and I have to raise. I've got number 6. And he's sort of advertised to me earlier that his draw isn't very good. He calls, so I had to raise there. And he just bets directly into me. And that doesn't make any sense at all. I kind of wish I'd raised there, but that donk kind of bet on the river there is just really weird. So he's demonstrated that he doesn't really have a clue what he's doing. And that's pretty clear. So anyway, on the cutoff here, got a good stack still in the lead with 14 players left. Still ages before late reg finishes. So I don't have anything here, and so I'm making a note on him. Overvalued, valued. I don't know what I'm saying. Values hands, maybe plays too many hands, all this sort of stuff. So he's down to 900 odd here. And he goes, checks on the river, and he wins with an ace to sort of keep him in the tournament, really, again. 8-5-2 on the effective button, because this other guy's sitting out. This guy who doesn't actually know the rules. By the way, this guy doesn't know the rules of the game. When he recognized he didn't know the rules, he just sat out the rest of the tournament. So this guy then calls me, and this is where, if I remember rightly, things start to go pear-shaped for me. For about an hour now. I miss, and he's pat, right? So what the big question is, what do I decide to do against this? So it should be ringing alarm bells here. I should be thinking, well, why is he just calling and patting? What is he doing? I think I really F this up massively. So I call, maybe I should have just folded then. Now you see I've got 8752. Ah, you see I hit 10, 8752. And people do weird stuff. I don't know him. I decide to go for a raise here. I go for a check raise here. And then he raises me. And this is where I needed to get out of the way. I probably shouldn't have check raised. I could have. I mean, this I'm just spewing off money here. Makes me a bit upset to see it actually. And I decide I almost fold, which is what I should have done. Then I completely miss, hit a pair. I wonder what he actually has. But he's just slow played this, and I've just given him a way back into the tournament there. He's slow played. He's probably got like 85 or a 7 or something. Um, so anyway, that hurts me pretty badly. And this time, this guy who doesn't have a clue, well, I just want to get all his chips in here. I've got 8762, try to make an 8 here. I miss. I just decide to just put all his money in. I think that's fine. Now 1-1. I miss again. Now he's pat. And I miss again. And that's a little bit frustrating, that one, right? So things are starting to go against me after the debacle against this guy here, who was slow playing some monster that he had pat there, and I kind of fell into his trap really. 873, not going to get involved here. Which I think that I really I actually don't play this enough. So here we go, 853 on the button, have to raise it up. We go three-way, not particularly loving that. 222. What do I decide to do here? I just decide to call and draw to the 8653, and he's pat there, so I can't really fold this. I'm just going to cool down now. In fact, he went 2 to pat, and I call, and he's got number 4, so I was actually drawing dead there. So he's running really well all of a sudden, and he's got more chips than me now, you know, thanks largely to what I did against him earlier. So it takes one bad hand like that to really kind of kill you, or just fold this to really put a massive dent in your chances. So here we go. Look how all this is happening. So much is happening here. So many hands, um, and it doesn't. I mean, there are breaks because I'm skipping, jumping through a lot of these ones that are just where nothing happens. But it's amazing how fast this all happens. This happens. This was all happening very fast in real time. I just check. He checks it back. 9-8. I bet. Now he calls and I pat. I'm just going to check call here. I'm not going to fold. I feel. So he does just check it back and I win that one, right? So 8-6-2. Now maybe I shouldn't be raising it, but I do raise. So I don't want to tip off my hand. And then he draws 2. Okay, that's fine. What does he do? He checks. Then we go 2-1. This is so weird because he doesn't bet despite having a 1-card draw. So this is where I run into a bit of a problem. Then yeah, maybe I shouldn't have done that. Maybe I should have just let him bet. I decided to donk. It was effectively a donk bet because I'm betting into the person who drew less. I did that because he didn't bet on the previous street. So then so he's not betting his hands before the draw, and then when he's hitting, then he's betting them. And this is what I'm struggling with. The way he's playing, it's not good, but it's making, for some reason it's making life difficult for me. So anyway, I decide to bet to just call, and I check. He bets. I have to call here. He's got number 5, so he had a monster draw there. He had a really big draw, and he didn't bet it, right? So, I mean, the same number of bets were going to go in anyway, but I don't, so yeah, yeah. But but you see this is like a theme. So now I've got 853 on the cutoff. I raise that. I think I've got my hands good enough for that. Um, and now you see he's doing this again. He's not betting his hands. He's not re-raising before the draw with a one card draw, which he needs to be doing. It's just a real waste. So he's not. So his play's not making any sense. But it seems to be working out for him. I'm struggling here. So, so he went right now. He's pat. I actually decided to fold there. I mean, maybe that's a little bit too weak that time, but 8-6-5-3. I actually decided to fold. Probably should have taken one off there, but yeah, that was probably a mistake. Anyway, now down to only 3,000, about what I started with. Big draw here. Have to re-raise absolutely all day, every day. And I start to hit the nuts, which is very nice. He calls me. This time he's pat. I bet. Okay, right. So just a little while later, going for just over an hour on the cutoff with 542. This guy Gimka 2-2. I've now got a one card draw. He's betting directly into me. I just call, assuming he'll have a one card draw. He does. We go 1-1. This time, well, I've got number 4. Doesn't matter what I do here. I decide to just call for some reason. Doesn't actually matter. I guess it's because I don't actually want him to break anything. That's why I decide to call here. He could be drawing, could have a draw which is live to what I have. He didn't actually. He hung on to his. He needed to get rid of the 10 there basically, and not pass it in the first place. So yeah, as it turned out, he was drawing dead to what I had. So number 4, get rid of him. 13 players in the tournament. So I've got a reasonable stack, not like I had before, but so now just fold. Next one, 7-4-3. I feel like I have to open this, and he calls. So 2-2. I think I have to bet this. He calls. So I'm not loving this clearly, and a check, and he's going to probably bet this all the time. No, he doesn't. On the river, 10-7. I decide to bet this for value. He just calls me with number 8, which is absolutely appalling there. When it goes 1-1, number 8's a huge hand. So he needs to raise there, but he doesn't, right? So I'm making mistakes myself, but I'm seeing my opponents are making mistakes. So I feel more than me. I might be wrong about this, though. It's not my best game by a long way. Anyway, 8-6-2 on the button, have to raise it up. He calls. He's playing a lot of hands. He's drawing 1 against this. None of this makes any sense, right? He's drawing 1, and he just calls. So this is just terrible. Anyway, he bets. I call. Now he's pat, obviously, as he will be. Now I raise him, right? Because I've got number 7. I feel pretty happy about this. And he re-raises me, and I can't get away from this. And I call. He's got the nuts, right? So he's totally underplaying his hand before the draw. He's deciding, no, I don't really want to re-raise it. If I don't want to raise anything before the draw, so his slow play hand before, maybe he just doesn't raise anything before the draw, like ever. Maybe that's his play, and whatever it's doing, he's now got a ton of chips. So whatever it's if you're hitting these sorts of hands, well, it's working out for him, isn't it? I'd had a look on what do they call this thing, Shark Scope. I had a look on that, and he's not a winning player overall. So I don't know what his record might be in this game, but he's not an overall winner or anything. So it's not like it's some sort of master plan, as far as I'm aware. So decide to raise this up. Don't have many chips now. 12th out of 14 all of a sudden, and We go 1-1, right. Don't love this. Check, I just check it back. Again, he's not re-raising his one card draw. It's just, I mean, for me, I think it's insane. I think it's insane. But anyway, well, now I hit something. I just call him. It's kind of a freeze play, I think you'd call it, which is where I don't have a very strong hand. I just call and pat behind because I don't want him to break something. If he's breaking, he's going to be live to beat this hand a lot. So I just call. Now I bet on the river because I feel that I've got a better hand than him most of the time, and he folds. So survive kind of, but still need an awful lot to go my way. So I probably should have made a note on him failing to re-raise before the draw with the one card draw. It's like he's sort of, and that's the other reason why I wanted to bet the river there because I felt that his draw was going to be kind of crappy. And again, he's not just hitting against me, he's hitting against everybody else too. Running very, very hot at the moment. And what do I decide to do? So I just check here. Decide not to raise this one. 5-4-3. And I miss. He draws two. My draw's not very good. He just checks it back though. If he bet, I probably almost certainly would have folded. This time I bet. He calls. And he's pat. Oh, for God's sake. And I call and he's got number two. So again, he's just it's insane, isn't it? It's insane how well he's hitting, and I can't do anything against it. I just can't. Maybe I could have folded to his bet on the river there. I actually decide to fold here. I feel 8-6-2 against him is not in very good shape here, so I decide to fold. He's got a two-card draw, out of position too. Even though I'm getting a little bit of a price with some money in there, a little bit with a small blind, I don't really love it. I feel like he's a much better player than him, but you're the one with all the chips. It's the way it goes sometimes, right? I think you're in a league or two above him, right? Um, but he just ends up folding, and you've got like about 7 jillion chips now. Look! I was actually leading the tournament for like a um, good spell there, right? So about 30 minutes to, yeah, I had about 15-20 minutes of leading the tournament there. Little spell, and now it all just runs away from me very, very quickly. As you see now, this guy. 8-6-3, have to open this on the button. He calls, and it go three-way. I'm not loving that particularly. And 2-1. Right, what do I decide to do with this one? I decide to get all my money in. He folds. And if he's still drawing, and now I decide to because he's pat, and my 98 doesn't beat many things that he's pat with. I get my 98 back, and I made the right decision by drawing that, right? And he had the 9-7-4-3-2. Okay, I wonder whether he should have drawn to that hand, with two draws to come. But what do I know? I feel like after this tournament, I feel like I haven't a clue. I feel like I really haven't a clue. Uh, and I finish. Well, late reg is still open. I don't decide to jump back in because there's actually less than four big bets left if you buy back in now. And in 3 minutes the blinds. Well, in 3 minutes you'll have less than four big bets left. Right now you'd have five. So I decide to just yeah, just call it a day, not buy back in. And yeah, it was an interesting one, that one. Not a very long tournament particularly. Went about 80 minutes. Yeah, after making such a good start too, just couldn't do anything against this particular guy. Felt like nobody else could do anything against him either. It was just, it was like he had like God mode switched on there. It was insane. Anyway, that was my tournament. I hope you got something out of that. Nice, somebody made a comment at the start of the video to say that they like my videos. Always nice, isn't it? When somebody says something like that, because people don't really comment much at all these days. Because unfortunately, we don't have Americans here, and a lot of people, English is not their first language. I guess that's a lot to do with it. Back before Black Friday, you saw a lot more comments. Sometimes they were a bit of a pain. You had to want to switch them off. But anyway, that is me. I hope you enjoyed that little one. Didn't cash or get anywhere, but quite a lot sort of went on. As I explained, it does have this sort of hypnotic feel about this game. And I remember when I used to play cash, like $1 and $2 cash, or 50 cent and $1 cash, you'd find, oh, what just happened to my stack? Ooh, I had a stack and now I don't have it. And it was a bit like that here. Okay, bye everybody.